I want to just start out this morning by saying we need to shut this down now. Period. End of story. Profiting by private prisons on human suffering is un-American, it is undemocratic, and it is morally bankrupt and wrong, and we are here to fight to shut it down. No private corporation should be making profits off of the suffering and the backs of our people, period. And that is why myself and Representative Jayapal and many of the people on this panel have been advocating even long before this current administration to shut it down, because this never should have started in the first place. And the massive expansion that we've seen during the Trump administration is a violation of human rights, of the civil liberties of Americans, and of immigrants who are lawfully seeking asylum in this country, and it is wrong. Now, I just want to take a moment, because I know we have folks who are tuning in from across the country, to say to all of our immigrant brothers and sisters out there that you have rights. And you have a right to seek asylum in this country. And the most important thing you can do right now is to make sure that you are connected with the lawyers and the advocacy organizations to make sure that your rights are protected. But we want you to know that you are welcome, you are loved, and we are going to fight like hell to make sure that you're protected, even in spite of all of the evil things that are happening in this country right now. Now, I am very short on time, but let me just say this. We have a private for-profit prison in my district that is being run by one of the two largest corporations that are profiting off of the suffering of Americans and the immigrants coming to this country, and we are going to shut you down. Let me just say that. Whether we do it federally, whether it happens through state law, or because our local communities, who, yes, are taking jobs in that facility because they themselves don't have other opportunities, do not want you there. We do not want this in our communities. We do not want our people to be suffering in our communities so that a corporation can profit off of us. So let me just say to you, Madam Ranking Member, thank you for bringing this into the light, because it is very clear that what the Trump administration wants is for our communities to live in the shadows. And we need to make sure that people understand what is actually happening. These are not criminals. They should not be in prison. These are people who came to the United States seeking a better life, who are lawfully seeking asylum, and a private prison is profiting off of their suffering, and we will not stand for it.
Thank you all so much for being here, and thank you, Representative Ranking Member Jayapal, for creating this space for us to have this conversation. Obviously, you see with the number of members of Congress that are here, it's a really critical issue throughout the nation, and it's heartbreaking, illegal, and inhumane the way our immigrant community is being treated. We have to remember that immigrants come to this country because there is a demand for people to be here, and the economy that the U.S. is built on literally is on the backs of immigrants. And many of us are first generation, second generation immigrants to this country, and many of the representatives that are here right now reflect this community that is screaming for us to be able to do something to rein in this administration. I represent Southern Arizona, Arizona CD7, with 3 ports of entry with Mexico, a lot of very rural communities at the Honotam Nation. So we have a lot of diverse needs, and the impact of ICE in our communities is being felt in ways that we never had before. And I remember very clearly the Florence Project, because as a Pima County supervisor, we supported the Florence Project and the incredible work that you do. And so this question, because I have limited time, but this question is going to be directed to May St. John. Your organization is the primary provider for free legal services and social services for thousands of people held in immigration detention in Arizona. We have recently seen troubling reports. We've been hearing them. We've been witnessing them, including Border Patrol's warrantless entry into a humanitarian aid station in Arivaca in southern Arizona just last week, and the continued interference with attorney access and congressional oversight. From your frontline work, how is Trump's administration's escalation of this warrantless operations and restrictions on attorney access affected people's ability to receive due process?
So, as I said in my statement, it is hopelessness by design. And that's actually, I think, one of the biggest impacts that I have seen at the Florence Project. Again, we have a project that works with people who have already been deported and are in Mexico. And the stories I am hearing from people of folks who had lives in the United States, 30, 40 years in the United States, families in the United States, work in the United States, no criminal history. And they just didn't even try to fight their case because the detention conditions are so horrific and because the pressure they were facing from ICE officers was so great. That, I think, is actually one of my biggest concerns because it completely cuts out people's ability to do what is promised under law. And it is happening, most of it's happening before somebody even has a chance to talk to a lawyer, again, in these short-term facilities. And also even in the long-term facilities, our access to counsel rights have been dramatically cut. I mentioned the legal orientation program, which is a program that has existed with bipartisan congressional support since 2003, was abruptly terminated earlier this year. And attorneys are not just counsel, they are the eyes and ears of what's happening in these facilities, and it's very purposeful trying to get the eyes and ears out of these facilities.
Thank you. And I do think that when we look at Arizona's cases, it reveals a broader pattern of abuses inside all of the detention facilities. Thank you, and I yield back.